Hello and welcome, I am Kid Gamesley. In this tutorial I will be showing you how to use a piece of software called ActiveBoot to create a backup image of your Windows operating system. In this tutorial I will be using the Windows 8 operating system. Please read the description below for any additional definitions or other information you might possibly need. Now, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and, I'm assuming your web browser is already open, but start from scratch, open up a web browser. My personal favorite is Firefox, so I'll be using Firefox for this tutorial. You're going to want to go Google CNET ActiveBoot. And don't worry, I guess you don't really need to do this. I will provide a link to the software in the description box below. Go ahead and click that first link you just saw. This is CNET's homepage for the ActiveBoot software. It gives you some basic information about the software you'll be downloading. It's a tool I've been using for several years. I think it's pushing a little more than 3 years now. I've been using the software. Great. It does everything that I want to as an IT guy. As of right now, go ahead and click the Download Now button. And it'll take you to this other page, and then a box will pop up asking you if you'd like to save the file. So just go ahead and click Save the File. The file is about 180 megabytes. So depending on your internet connection, it should take anywhere between a minute to I guess 5 minutes. It really all depends on your connection. Just go ahead and click Save, and it'll download to your downloads folder or wherever your default save location is. Okay, so now your file is completely downloaded, and it should look something kind of like this. It's called boot disk demo-setup. What it is an installer file that installs a program that creates bootable disks or flash drives so you can boot the ActiveBoot operating system. Small file, 180 megs as you saw. So just go ahead and double click on it. If you don't have an admin account set up, it's going to ask you for this user account control. You can just go ahead and click yes, and I'll walk you through the installation process. On this first screen, you can go ahead and click next. Here are the end user license agreement. You can go ahead and read through this if you care to. I don't really read through it, but you might be different than me, so go ahead and read through it. If you accept the terms of the license, go ahead and click that option, and then click next. And then I would just use the complete installation. It's not that big of an installation, so just go ahead and leave it as complete, and go ahead and click next in the bottom again, and go ahead and click install. This part is usually pretty quick. It could take anywhere between 10 and 30 seconds, depends on how slow your computer is, but it's usually a fast installation. So by default, this little checkbox over here is automatically checked. What it does is it will launch the ActiveBoot disk creator when you click this finish. So just go ahead and click finish. So here's the disk creator. It's pretty cool. You can create an innumerable amount of disks with it. It's pretty nice. It gives you 4 options. You have a floppy disk option, CD, DVD, Blu-ray option, USB flash drive option, or ISO image file option. Floppy disk, if you have a floppy drive and floppy disks, go ahead, be my guest, use it. The installation, I do not recall, I think it's about 170 megs, so if you have a floppy disk that can hold that, be my guest. Personally, I will be using this ISO image file. It is highly versatile. You can mount it to a USB drive, you can burn it to a disk. It's just great just to have on hand. I will show you how to burn an ISO image to a disk in a future video, so stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we're going to be using this ISO image file option. So go ahead and make sure that bubble is checked, and then click next. Over here it gives you the options to boot into Windows, boot into DOS, or dual boot Windows and DOS. If you know DOS command, be my guest, you can go ahead and load into DOS. I think a GUI would be much quicker, but once again, you differ than myself. I will be booting into Windows though for this tutorial. In the next tab, you don't even need to mess with this. Add drivers, you do not need to mess with this tab. Startup scripts, you do not need to mess with this tab. Boot settings, if you speak more than one language, you can give yourself other keyboard options. That is completely up to you if you wish to do that. Network boot, you can turn that on if you wish, and then time to auto start, you can just leave it at 30 seconds. I'll show you what that is in a second. It doesn't really matter. This time zone up here also doesn't really matter for what we're doing. You can literally, most of this you can just leave as is. Go ahead and click next in the bottom right hand corner when your changes have been complete. And over here it just tells you what exactly you're creating. You're creating the ActiveBoot Windows demo version. It's an ISO file. Tells you how big it's going to be and gives you some of the basic settings that we have set up. So go ahead and click create. This part, just go ahead and choose a location. Personally, I'm just going to choose my desktop. I already have the image there, but we'll just go ahead and create that. This part's rather quick. It takes only a few seconds, really. And then it tells you that the file has been completed. Go ahead and click OK. And now you're free to exit out of this ActiveBoot application. So now our file is over here and created. At this point, you can go ahead and burn it to a disk or mount it to a flash drive, whichever option you prefer. I have mine already burned to a disk, so I will restart my operating system and go ahead and show you guys how the user interface looks on here. So I'm going to go ahead and restart, and I'll get back to you once this is finished. Over here it shows you press any key to skip loading ActiveBoot disk. Don't touch anything. It's mostly just for if you had the media plugged in and forgot to take it out. But just let it sit and do its thing. Load time, times vary. It depends on your hardware. Nothing really big to worry about. It takes just as long as loading up any other operating system, really. So we'll just go ahead and let this finish setting up. Alright, on this first screen, this is our load screen. As we set up before, it's going to take 30 seconds for this to go from one end to the other before it automatically signs us in. You don't really need to set up anything, really. I turn this on just because I'm just used to turning it on. Once you're ready, go ahead and click OK. It's going to load all of any files on here and all that. Alright, so this is the ActiveBoot screen that it looks like as soon as you logs you in. Up here you'll see it's still the demo version. I'll show you a bit about that in a second. You'll see all these little tools in the bottom. I'll show you how each tool works in later videos, but for this instance, just go ahead and click this bottom right @shield or bottom left @shield symbol in the bottom left corner. Navigate up to Programs and then click Active Disk Image. Here it's going to tell us that we have 10 days for this evaluation. At this time, you can either buy it registered if you have a code, or continue. For this instance, for the tutorial, we're just going to click continue. Now you'll see it gives us several other options here. I'll show you how in future videos I'll show you how each different tool works. For this current tutorial, we're just going to go ahead and double click on disk to image. Our options are full backup, incremental backup, and differential backup. Honestly, I do not know what the differential backup is or what it does. The incremental backup, I believe, is when you already have a backup and then you want to add on to it. And then the full backup, which is what we're going to be using, so be sure that's checked, is just a full backup of all of the data on the partition or drive that you are trying to back up. Once that's checked, go ahead and click Next in the bottom right hand corner. Now, as you see, here are our boot options. We have this disk 0, or sorry, our backup options. You have the disk 0 and the CD-ROM 0. You do not need to worry about the CD-ROM 0. Over here you have disk 0, and under it you have local disk and backup D. Normally you can check the disk 0 and it'll back up everything on both your C and D partitions. For this tutorial, we're just going to be backing up our local disk C, because my disk D is just a backup. It's just a backup hard drive, and so that's the drive that we will be saving to today. Normally, you can plug in just any old external hard drive, and then you can back up to that. But as of right now, I'm just going to be using this second hard drive over here. So once you have your partition check that you want to back up, you can go ahead and click Next in the right hand corner. And over here it's going to ask us where you want to save and name the image. So we're just going to go ahead and browse to whichever drive that you're going to be saving to. So for me, I'll be saving to D backup. For you, it could vary depending on where you're trying to save your information. So I'm going to be creating a new folder. I'm going to call it Win8 Backup, and that's going to be my directory. Then I'm going to name this just Win8. Normally I will put in the date as well. Sorry, Win8, and the date. So today is 11/20/2012. And then I'll click Next. In the bottom right hand corner, over here it has compression types. I just leave it at normal. My image is pretty small, so there's nothing for me to really worry about. You can password protect it if you wish, so that way if you want to, or when you want to put the image back onto your hard drive, you can just go ahead and enter your password in there, and it makes it more secure if you're worried about that. Normally I just leave everything as default. I'm pretty secure with everything I have. I'm not worried about any of that. So I just go ahead and click Next in the bottom right hand corner. And then do you want to make another one, create a RAW, or proceed to confirmation? I just click No to proceed to confirmation. And then this is just the basic details of what we will be doing. And it says that I will be copying 30 gigs. It's going to tell me that it's being saved to my D drive, and it tells me the location, tells me the type of backup we're doing, the name of the backup, etc., etc. So I like everything I see here. I don't want to shut down when this is finished. I don't need to verify image after creating. I just click Next in the bottom right hand corner. And now this process usually takes a while. For a normal hard drive, a 500 gig hard drive, this process could take between a half hour and 45 minutes. So usually you can just go away and go eat some dinner or whatnot. This backup should only take me probably about 20 minutes or so. It's a very, very small backup. So once this is completed, I will return to you guys and finish up here with you. So I will return. Alright, and we're back. As you can see, my file is finishing up, it's backing up here. Looks like it'll have completed in 8 minutes and 10 seconds. That's not going to be every backup time. That's just mine. My backup was relatively small in comparison to a full backup. So, as you can see, we have completed here. So, go ahead and click Finish in the bottom right hand corner. And now that we're finished, go ahead down to the bottom left corner and click the @ symbol again. And go ahead and navigate to Utilities and Explore My Computer. Now navigate to where you saved your file. So for me, it was my backup partition, the Win8 backup folder, and it created this second folder, this Win8 _, and then that's what I named my file. So here it gives you three different files. You have this .xml and this .log. Both of those just pretty, they're kind of insignificant really. You don't really use them for anything. It's just to keep track of, you know, when and how long it took for the backup. Since I pretty much named it, I don't really care how long it took. But for your own reference, that option is in there for you. And then the third file is this .abi file. That .abi file is the backed up file. Mine is 7.89 gigs. As you can see, mine, there was very little information in my my backup image. Yours will more than likely vary depending on what you have on your hard drive or what you have that you're trying to back up. And so that pretty much completes the tutorial on how to back up your computer with ActiveBoot. Stay tuned for more videos to come. In my next video I will show you how to use this .abi file to reinitiate it back onto your hard drive. Thank you for watching my tutorial on how to back up your computer using the ActiveBoot software. I am Kid Gamesley. Thanks again, and feel free to subscribe to my channel.